What's going on, Cover Killer Nation? Do you see that? The light that's only in the distance as opposed to being all around us. It means that we're going to be doing something a lot darker tonight. Something that really, you need the correct atmosphere in order to listen to it. To really review it even. And that's going to be Electric Wizard, their new album, Black Masses. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't I take care of this whenever it was originally released a little while ago? Well, I'll tell you exactly why. It was released in Europe a little while ago. It wasn't released here in the States until just this past Tuesday. And, well, there's your reason. Whenever I saw that this album was coming to FYE, not to mention came in quantity, there was about 8 of them, I was really surprised. I didn't actually think that there were too many people around this area that really knew who Electric Wizard were. Not to mention were interested enough to come pick up their album the day that it came out. And, well, I was kind of right in that regard, because I remember people asking about this record whenever it was originally supposed to drop. And we, of course, had to say that we didn't have it. So it's one of those situations where the European and the American release dates don't exactly coincide, and that sometimes causes a little bit of trouble, especially for people that are getting all their information online. Now, for those of you who don't know who Electric Wizard are, they're actually a Doom project, should I say, or outfit, as some people would claim, that incorporates some other style of music into their particular slice of the Doom metal bread. And that includes things such as stoner metal and sludge metal. And this is something that is easily apparent if you listen to any of their music whatsoever. However, Black Masses, once again, really resonates that particular style that is their own. Now, for those of you who really don't know your doom metal history, you may not know that Electric Wizard is considered to be one of those really important artists in this particular genre. It's sort of what you would consider a genre leader. Either that or some of their albums are considered to be some of the best amongst the doom metal genre has to offer. And one such album is their self-titled debut, and another one is Dopethrone. Now, in recent years, they lost 2 of their core members who decided to start another band entitled Ramseses, or Ramseses, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you can correct me for my terrible pronunciation all that you want. So this actually left them with only one of their core members to kind of move on and progress with the band and kind of assemble everything around him. Now, typically whenever this happens with some bands, they don't exactly see them progress along the same direction. And maybe somebody who's a little bit of a purist might actually suggest that that's not the case, because, well, the more recent albums that were put out by this band may not consider to be of the same caliber as Dopethrone or Electric Wizard. But it really is all a matter of interpretation. And what we're here to talk about is Black Masses. Black Masses definitely follows along the same journey that you can see. Now, the songs might be a little bit shorter. You don't actually see a track here that's over 10 minutes long. However, throughout this entire 8-track affair, you definitely feel the murky atmosphere that has been represented by the band, and that's something that is extremely important. Now, of course, with the elements of stoner rock and stoner metal being in there, you're also going to see a lot of references to cannabis. However, you're also going to see a lot of references to the occult, to H.P. Lovecraft, to witchcraft, to things like that. I mean, just consider the name of the album, Black Masses. Now, these are songs that will sometimes trudge along and will incorporate a lot of doom metal style riffage, and a little bit of a... Here's where it really becomes a little bit strange to analogize. Some people may actually say that the vocals remind them of what Ozzy Osbourne's vocals would sound like through maybe a cheese grater and morph through a casket or something like that. And actually, that's a better way to put it than I was probably going to have, metaphorically speaking. It's a very unique experience, to say the least. It's something where it definitely has a style all its own. Now, it's not altogether strange for there to be vocals of this particular nature, not to mention to have music of this nature sound like this. Consider bands such as St. Vitus, and you're definitely going to see a little bit of what I mean. However, it's not going to be more straight up doom metal like you would see from industry leaders such as Candlemass, because this is something that is employing something a little bit different, so it is only fair that it shows those differences. Now, each and every one of these songs, as I said, once again, reflects an atmosphere, and that's something that is extremely important. Now, the riffing on this album is going to be fantastically done. The songs are going to trudge along, which is something that a lot of people may not enjoy if you're not a fan of Electric Wizard, but if you like doom metal, if you like this style, not to mention if you are a big fan of this particular genre, and hey, even if you're high, it's cool, this is definitely going to be a pretty good and positive experience for you here in 2011. This is one of those records where each and every song kind of boasts its own individual acclaim, because every riff's a little bit different, even though the central ideas may seem to be a little bit similar. And it's only because, well, in this particular genre, the mood is definitely something that is important. And there's only so many ways that you can kind of incorporate desolation into a mood. And that's kind of the reason why they don't always go with just doomy mood. They definitely incorporate a lot more riffing and a lot more structure to their songs. And it may seem a little simplistic, but it actually works for this band. And that's something that you actually have to give them a lot of credit for. Sometimes less is more, ladies and gentlemen, and for all of you guys that are in bands, that's something that's a really important life lesson. Atmosphere sometimes is a whole hell of a lot more important than showing everybody that you can speed through a riff at 240 beats per minute. So keep that in mind. But also with that said, this is not exactly going to be a riff fest where fans of musicians that are able to do that are really going to be able to get into, because it's just going to be too slow for them. So overall, I would call this a mixed bag as far as fans are concerned. However, as an album itself, it's very strong. It definitely has a whole to it that is, well, very satisfying. Now, there is one theme that I do want to speak about, and that was, of course, something that I mentioned earlier, and that was there was a lot of drug theme in there sometimes as well, not only within the lyrics, but also within some of the song titles. And one of them that they always like to use a lot is Drugula. Now, of course, Drugula is a play-off of Dragula, which was played off into Dragula by Rob Zombie of White Zombie fame, of course. But Drugula is something that they have used on multiple songs now, on multiple albums. And it's, of course, once again, a theme to the drug culture, which explores that stoner metal style a little bit more as well, and definitely infuses it more into their music. 100%, this is one of those records where if you are a fan of this style, or I would say that if you like these following bands, if you like Baroness, if you like Mastodon, if you like Pelican, and if you like traditional doom metal, and if you're a Sabbath fan that wants something that's been pretty awesomely updated and kind of slowed down a little bit, something that has a little bit less rhyme or reason to it and really is a little bit more about the general atmosphere and the general haze of a dimly lit night and a dimly lit room where the only thing that you maybe can see is the embers of the weed or the illicit substance that you're smoking, or maybe you're just in there alone by yourself getting yourself a nice little buzz. This is definitely something to check out. I highly recommend this to a lot of people. A lot of metal fans really have embraced this band in recent memory, and it's actually expanded its horizons to fans of other forms of music as well. Electric Wizard is actually one of those bands that has sort of crossed boundaries a little bit whenever it comes to their fan base. There's one guy that I know in particular who's a subscriber of mine and who's also a successful album reviewer that likes this band as well. You know who you are. How you doing? Yeah, I just pimped out 2 people in 2 videos that also make videos. My rivals, so to speak. But they're not rivals, they're my friends here in the album review community. So Black Masses, should I say, by Electric Wizard. Highly recommend it. Go out, pick it up, make that shit sell, baby.